A software testing company was seeing a concerning decline in usage of their flagship product, so they began to explore ways to increase the usage and prevent possible churn. Customer success defined the key features and use cases of the applications, and then built knowledge-based articles and playbooks to work with the clients to raise usage. They received constant pushback from clients on their attempts, referencing them to numerous support tickets, where the features they have been promoting had severe quality and usability issues. Customer success understood that if they continue to promote these features, they risk growing churn and dissatisfaction. They needed better alignment with support and R&D to ensure only high-quality and high-impact features were promoted. If they had used ThunderAct, they would have known which features were being flagged as problematic by the support teams. Then they could have either increased development resources to verify those features before promoting, or chosen different features. To learn more about ThunderAct's incredible AI-powered data analysis and business advisory capabilities, visit ThunderAct.com to start a free trial.
All right, we're back. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us again. My name is Ashley. I'll be co-hosting this event. Up next, we have a very special chat with Anna, Connell, and Anoy on the data utilization by successful customer success organizations. Whenever you're ready, ladies.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you for joining us, Anna, and thank you for really the last minute change here. We're so grateful to have you. So I've been trying to convince you to do this session for a few weeks now, and you said no. And I was really lucky that on the last minute, actually, we were able to turn this around. So I'm super, super happy and honored to have you join us for this session. So thank you for your time. So
thank you. And just for everybody, it wasn't a no because of anything else except for the fact that I'm in the process of moving houses and it's Q4. No, it feels like it, but it's Q2. So that was the only reason.
It's all good. So for those of you who don't know, well, which is probably everybody except for Anna, I know Anna for about 4 years now, and we actually met each other in a conference, in a customer success conference a few years back. And for those of you who joined the first session, remember when I said I tried to figure out what voice of the customer means? And then I met Anna. Anna was in a different company at the time. And we were kind of discussing between us the role of customer success and the challenges of customer success and what does it mean. And we became really good friends. And Anna has since then moved a couple of companies and has joined ServiceNow. And I'm really great to have Anna with us. So Anna, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, thanks very much, Noy. Hi, everybody. Can't see you, but I know you're there. I'm Anna Connell. I've been in the high tech. So I grew up in the Bay Area. I live in Santa Clara. I grew up in Mountain View, and I've actually always been in the high tech world. Started out my career at Oracle and have always been. It was kind of interesting because I started out at Oracle in the compensation group. And so I started doing commissions, and then I realized what sales reps make. And as a result, I decided to flip over and start carrying a quota and be on the sales side. And so I've always been in the what's called, I guess, customer success / renewals world since that time. I've built out teams. I helped build out kind of the call center at Oracle in Colorado Springs. Was there for about 10 years. Then moved over to a small company where I had a customer success, technical account managers, renewals, software operations, all sorts of things under me. And then have also moved into, then was at Proofpoint, where I was there for a couple of years. And then most recently, I joined ServiceNow a couple of years ago, where there was no renewals team. There was at all. There is a customer success team. They kind of work a little separately from us, but we're obviously all one team. And I was asked to grow and build out a renewals organization. So I'm proud or scared to say that 2 years later, we're at 51 reps and managers globally. So we're just growing and growing.
That's really, really great. And I remember in the first days where you were kind of thinking on how to bake this role and how exactly to build it. And that's really such a huge change from starting off just you to grow to 50 plus people. And that really shows how ServiceNow is looking at their customers and the importance of growing the market and the commitment of really working with the market, right?
Yeah.
So,
well,
yeah,
go ahead. So I think, at ServiceNow, our model had always been that, first of all, I promise I'm not the Kool-Aid drinker type, but this is one of the best, cultures and companies that I've been at. And we genuinely really care about our customers, right? And we've got a very, very strong, robust product. And I think when you have a very strong, robust product like ServiceNow, and our renewal rates are off the charts, and those are renewal rates without a renewals organization being involved. So what we always had was just kind of sales reps kind of managing the entire account, right? But we've had such crazy growth year over year. Couple that with just the fact that, obviously you have not just growth from a financials perspective and growth of customers, but just growth of people. And what we realized is that, at some point you really need to make sure that you've got people that are dedicated on the customer themselves. And so that's what we did, right? Where we are just focused on nothing but the existing customers and making sure that we partner alongside our sales teams to continue to protect, preserve, and then grow that business. But I think, we're maybe a little bit late to that evolution, but I think a lot of companies, when they start, they just, they have a strong product. It kind of renews itself until you start becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, and you realize, oh, we have to focus on things.
So you obviously work a lot with the sales organization,
yes.
And I imagine you have some interlocks with the product management teams as well.
Yes.
Make sure you know the direction and you know how to articulate that to the client. Who are the other functions you get to work with, and in what manner?
Oh goodness, I mean it's everybody, right? So I mean I'm quota carrying, obviously. So and it's a hefty quota. So we obviously are aligned with any and all groups that actually help us execute and sell, right? From a logistical, from a contractual, and all of those elements. But the other groups that we're working very closely with are all of the various business units, right? They're not product managers per se, but the business units that actually own the particular product. And what we do with them is we make sure that we're looking at the health of not just an overall account, but also of every single product that sits underneath a customer. We also have what's called a value management, value realization team that is able to work with us to help pull data around customer usage and around how that compares to the customer's peers. So we do some benchmarking. So we engage with those groups to make sure that we show the customer what value a customer is getting, real tangible dollars and cents value. And that, I think, is one of the most critical things for customers to understand, right? Is, okay, I'm coming to you, I'm engaging with you earlier, I want to understand what your usage is, et cetera. And then let me show you some data proactively to say, here's how you compare to others in your industry. And so that's another group. And then with the products teams, actually, we've gotten more involved now so that we actually have a say in the direction of a product. Any and all things that come through in terms of changes, what's really critical for anybody who's on the customer success side is you have to go upstream, right? You have to go upstream to where the product starts. I find that most people just forget how complicated keeping a customer going, renewing them, upselling them, on all of that, how much complexity in terms of where they've come from and what they'll go to, how much lies there. And so we've pushed ourselves further and further up so that now we influence the direction and the changes that go downstream that may impact our customers.
That's really amazing. And just so we will get a sense of the scale, how many people are overall in the company, and how many of them do you think you're actually interacting with?
I think at ServiceNow, you mean?
Yeah.
We've got about 12,000, I think we're at now. I mean, we were half that, I think, when I joined just 2 years ago. We interact, with so many parts of the organization. I would say maybe specific engineering, groups. I mean, I don't know. We interact with all of the sales, the SCs, the various BUs, a pretty high percentage.
That's what I was assuming. So
Yeah.
how do you do that? I mean, I know everybody's using their own tool, and ServiceNow does have their own tool, and I know you tend to drink your own champagne, which is really great. But I mean, it's still a lot of information to process, a lot of people to work with. So what are the challenges that you have, and how do you overcome them?
Yeah.
You can still say there is a room for ThunderAct.
Oh, no, there is. Look, I mean, the reality is, one thing that especially everybody here, we're all dealing with the times of COVID, right? And so everybody, and I genuinely mean everybody, is now trying to make sure they understand what's our threat, what's the impact, what's the whatever, right? And so we've got people in groups I didn't even know existed running analytics around the threat of the renewals business. And again, my team is only 51 people. I can't touch everything. And so it is still a renewals plus sales. And then we're bringing more customer success into the fray as well. The reality is that we do have challenges in kind of connecting and communicating, right? And the other challenge that we have is really determining what is really risk, right? Where is risk? I mean, we just had the conversation about this yesterday, where I was like, guys, we have to perhaps identify one element that drives risk, and we have different data models, et cetera, and bring those together so that we're not acting upon 15 pieces of data, but rather one true source of data that talks to us about risk. But all of our data models do not bring in things like, financials, things that are people focused, right? Where I think we could do a better job of data mining other interactions to say, oh, layoff or this or that, customers talking about all of those types of things, because especially in the time of COVID, that is where we're seeing the risk. And that's not necessarily predicted by our data models that show us traditional kind of risk to our business, right? And so the coordination between the teams, I would say, is it's all of us kind of trying to come together, and a little bit is because we bump into each other, like, oh, you're doing this, we all need to do this together. We do it. We certainly could improve.
Do you find it has become easier or harder because of COVID? Because on one hand, you don't have the whole meetings, like, hey, what are you doing? The spontaneous type of meetings. But on the other hand, suddenly you have much more information being stored in the system because people need to have the visibility, and they don't have those coffee breaks to talk over things. So do you see any change in the sense of how the communication, how the documentation is being made? Is it better? Is it worse due to the pandemic?
It's a very interesting question. I think that what's required right now is a much higher level of collaboration, right? Because it's what we need to do. I think that because of the whole Zoom fatigue, and because we are all, sitting on Zoom, what can sometimes happen is, a little bit of, are we all really in this and kind of driving the same thing, or are you kind of just going from one thing to the next? But the other thing that actually is happening, and it's a real issue, is that we have so much unpredictability in our business, that things change on a dime. I mean, just this morning, I had a call with one of my one of my, or a quick chat with one of my leaders where one of our deals, she's like, oh, red alert on something like this. And, a lot of things we're having a little bit of a harder time predicting. And we're trying to get data from people based on communication, when in fact there's other sources where they're keeping that data because they're having a chat somewhere else, or a Slack, or a whatever, around certain things that may not have been as important, but they're very important now, around what the customer may be doing, what they're experiencing, what their financials look like, etc.
That makes perfect sense. So did you find like any secret that you can share maybe with the people who are attending this session of what actually worked well, maybe a tip and advice on how to look at these things, specifically now where the decision making is not only harder but also subject to interpretation? Do you have any tips, any advice on how to handle that?
Yeah, I think what we are doing, especially in terms of kind of closing business, right? So I can only speak to it as related to that. Things that are working is making sure that you leverage systems of record, you leverage your one CRM, unless you do have ThunderAct, which kind of pulls everything together, but if you don't, you have to leverage the systems and get pretty rigorous about it, and just kind of mandate that any and all information, because there is so much that's going on, is maintained there. But the other thing that we do often and well is constantly make sure that we have alignment between the various groups that are working on certain accounts. So we want to make sure that we're sharing information. We have a lot of proactive meetings where we look at our deals in advance, and we pull information around what the customer usage is. But then we get a group of people in one meeting, and we talk about what it is that we're seeing, and we really make sure that it's kind of an open and transparent dialogue. What we found that's made a huge difference, for instance, is in one of our regions, there was just disparate information that was coming in. It was actually impacting our ability to accurately forecast the business. And what we did is we just said, all right, we're pulling the leadership together, and we're saying, here's what we know. Do you agree? I mean, it's as basic as just being aligned on where the customer is. But then the other thing too is, you guys are going to see strange things pop up if you haven't already, and I'm sure you have. Strange things pop up in the time of COVID, and there has to be a very, and I have to say this, the data that you're seeing, you have to kind of drill into things, because what we are hearing, and we know this from our customers, right, is that there are things that are happening to our customer base. There are challenges that all customers are facing. And I think being able to distill what is a legitimate challenge versus still you're kind of trying to negotiate, trying to lowball, trying to do whatever. Not all customer situations are created equal. And really being able to come together with a cohesive team that is very close and speaking to the customer at all of the various levels is really important, so that you can discern where do we have a true challenge and where are we just kind of negotiating and trying to figure out what works. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And that's a really fabulous tip. And thank you so much for sharing. And I think that really brings up the point of how important it is that on a leadership level that there is a lot of communication, but also keeping the communication down and making the entire teams work together towards a mission, and everybody understands the mission, and while being collaborative, also making sure the work is being done. So that's a really great tip.
Yeah. This is, we have a saying at our company where like the lone wolves are dead, which bums me out, because my favorite animal is the wolf. And so my Slack photo is actually a wolf, and people are like, are you trying to be a lone wolf? But this is not the time to be a lone wolf. I think, a lot of people are like, I got this, and they're going to be the hero. That doesn't work. Egos need to be put aside. We really need to kind of come together, because you just don't know what's going to come at you and who else you may need in order to quickly resolve something, or to have a conversation that just, yes, thank you, Ashley. It's so important for our mental health too, right?
Absolutely.
so we have found just by making sure that we kind of squash down anything, you got this, no, you don't got this, and that we're constantly sharing conversations, communications, and at a very non-territorial level. You know, in the end, we're in this for the company, right?
Absolutely. Well, we're actually already out of our time, and this flew super, super fast. I really enjoyed our conversation. Any maybe last words or any envisioning on how we're going to come out of this COVID-19 from a business and decision-making standpoint?
Oh, if I only knew. You know, I genuinely think here's kind of what we're seeing, right? And I don't know what you guys are seeing, but I think this is going to be a long haul, guys. I think what we're seeing is, I know initially when the pandemic hit, right, we had lockdown, and that was just at the end of Q1. You know, we were like, oh my God, how bad are things, you know? And our business wasn't terribly affected because we were at the end of Q1, like things were already in progress, right? And as we kind of go, you know, I think customers are mostly trying to figure out, what does this mean to them? Some businesses are fine. Some businesses are doing extraordinarily well, and some businesses aren't. But I think they're still trying to figure out, what is my full impact, right? I mean, not everybody has lost jobs yet. I actually got a note from, it was actually a local church, I think, or the local JCC here, that said, we are now going to have to lay off some people. So I do think we're going to be looking at an impact for the long haul. But if your technology helps the customer continue to be productive and continue to drive value for the customers that they have, and reduce costs while doing that, you're going to be fine. But I think, you know, one thing we focus on, and we talk about a lot, is this is an important time to make sure that you mix business sense with empathy, right? Empathy is so important at this time, while also say, all right, and let's talk about your business. I think we're going to see continued trickle, but I don't see this being kind of the end of the world. I'm seeing so much resilience out there, so much.
That's really great to hear, and I do see a lot of people being super courageous during this time, and
Totally.
some great innovation growing, and companies are reinventing their innovation and their collaboration. So there's definitely a lot to look for.
Yeah.
Anna, thank you so much for taking the time from your busy day. Good luck in your moving, and we'll surely talk again soon. And thank you on behalf of everybody.
Thanks, guys. And I actually would love to hear what other people say, but maybe you can tell me later, like if you guys are seeing the end of the world, or.
We'll make sure to share with you the feedback that we get.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.